And the light shines in the darkness, and the darkness cannot overcome it. So these are spiritual things. The path, obviously we're talking about death. A grain has got to die if it's going to become bread, which becomes a funny kind of paradox, doesn't it? Because you think, but it's dying, but that's the only way a grain can actually live and become a loaf of bread. It's a funny kind of thing, because there are those stages. I heard Mike Warnke, anybody know Mike Warnke? And he did a wonderful thing one time about the bread of life, and he went through the whole process of, going into the ground and growing, and just when you think, great, I finally got out of the ground, that was a tough battle, and all, you're growing up, and all of a sudden it's like the wind is blowing and all your friends are getting blown all over the place, and some are falling back into the ground, and then you think, oh, I'm sure glad I didn't fall, and somebody comes along and whoosh, threshes the wheat, and it's like, oh my goodness, what was it? And he carries it all through, after he gets separated from the chaff and everything. I'm in the granary, isn't this nice? Jeez, what is that? Somebody's punching the snot out of me over here. And finally the pounding is done, and it's like, oh, thank God that's over. It's getting a bit warm in here, though. Jeez, it's hot, And he's in the oven, and it's like, oh, finally come out of the oven. And a knife comes across, zing! And it's like, he goes through this whole great big thing. And it's like, oh, finally I'm on the dinner table where it's safe. And I'm like, it's like, oh my goodness, somebody just bit my butt off. This kind of thing. He's hysterical. But when you think about what that grain of wheat and the development of a loaf of bread and where it actually goes and what actually happens, all along the way, if you're the loaf of bread, the grain, it's like, this is no Sunday school picnic. But who told us it would be? When Jesus says, follow me, who told us? That's why there's some gospels that are preached that Paul said, be careful. There'll be another gospel preached to you. You'll love it. Because it'll tell you, not you, Mike. You don't have to suffer. Glory. All you've got to do is shine like, the stars. And yet Paul says the exact opposite. James, John, they all say the opposite. That there will be suffering associated. But how are you going to nourish others without dying to yourself of something? Something's going to have to take a back seat if we're going to move forward in the front seat with Jesus at times. But that's not really what the emphasis is. We're told that that's what happens, but it's not the emphasis. What's really happening, and I believe that the world will see Jesus when it sees people who are actually in communion with Jesus and the Father. And I'm not trying to be a wise guy, but most of us don't spend that much time communing with the Father the way Jesus did. And what Jesus is demonstrating when he says things like, if you serve me, that's where I am. That's what the Father honors. He's trying to show us that this whole idea of serving has to do with communion. We do this together. But I got to tell you, some of the things that we're going to do is going to require you letting go of some other things. Last week, did an illustration with Glori. She was very helpful and kind. I gave her a whole bunch of pillows. I mean, as much as she could humanly hold. And then I asked her to pick up the lamp, there's no way. There was only one way she could pick up that lamp, and that was to let everything else go. Just let it all go to actually get her hands on the lamp. And it's a bit like that when Jesus has grabbed the lamp and we're stuffed with all this stuff. We just got too much going on. Lord, I can't do it. So I wouldn't ask you to do it if you couldn't. But you are going to have to make some changes there. You're going to have to let some things go to free up a little bit of space there to carry the things that I'm trying to give you to carry. That's kind of like the way it works. The servants in John 2 with the wine, he didn't ask them to pick up the 60-gallon containers. He said, draw some of the wine out, which you can actually carry into the wedding. You can do that. He doesn't ask us to do things that we can't do. He may ask us to do things that will require some things going into the ground, getting them out of the way. What we're really looking at is revealing the Father and the Son because we have a life in communion with them. That's really what the serving is about. It's about a serving son. There are tons and tons and tons of messages out there about sonship. And I appreciate them, don't get me wrong. But if we ever miss the aspect of the serving son, that actually what a son does is he works with the Father. I and my Father are one. The Father works and so do I. I mean, it's from chapter to chapter in John, trying to get this thing across. And it becomes so important. And that's really what Jesus is saying here. But a serving that's associated with the serving son, Jesus doesn't pull any punches. He lets it be known that it is difficult. But at the very end, when he says, him my Father will honor, the word honor means to value. What it means in a more pictorial way in Greek is like a prize. So the Father looks at the serving son, the one who's the son, and he says, this lady, this guy is like a prize to me. And the way that develops is because we say, yeah, but Dad, you're a prize to me. It's almost like that movie with De Niro and Billy Crystal. You're good, you. No, you're good, you. No, you're good, you. And you can see the Father and the Son go, you're my prize. No, you're my prize. No, you're my prize. No. Dad, you're my prize. You are my great reward. That's what you told Abraham. I am your great reward. Oh, but son, you don't know what a prize you are to me. I know I know how you serve him. And you see that thing going back and forth. An interesting thing about, when it says in Romans 3 about all have sinned and fallen short of the glory of God, we know that it's part of the Roman road, and we go ahead and we spout it off every chance we get. All have sinned. Well, the word sin, we say, what does it mean? Yeah, I know in the Greek it means missing the mark. I learned that years and years ago. That's only half of what it means. The other half says missing the mark, therefore not being able to enter into the prize, to get the prize. So in other words, when people in the past have said, you got a target, and it's like you got your bow and arrow, and you shoot your arrow, and it misses the mark. Yeah, but the problem with that is not, so what's the problem with missing a mark? So what? If you miss the mark, you don't get to enjoy the prize. That's the other part of it. So in other words, every time I resist God and balk against him, what I'm really doing is resisting a prize to be his and for him to be mine. Now that kind of sheds a different light on missing the mark, so to speak, and falling short of the glory. The Son is glorified. What does he pray? Father, you be glorified. In the glory, in this whole idea of being glorified, there's like this prize thing that's happening. And I'll tell you what, if you've ever, and I know you all have, if you've ever served the Lord in an endeavor that took effort, I mean real effort, not coming here on a Sunday morning other than enduring me talking, but real effort. Did you ever get that feeling like, whoa, this is really good? We know that feeling. That's almost like we can hear the Father saying, you're my prize. That was a prize to me. It wasn't a surprise because I know you. And what I gave you to bear, and you did it because you could. It was hard, but you did it. And that's like a prize. And I said, Dad, you're my prize. That's why I did it. Because I want to walk with Jesus. He said, the person who serves, the serving son, joins me as a serving son. And hot dog, we have a good time sometimes. Sometimes it's hard. We are well into the purpose at this point of servanthood, which is where I was trying to get to last week. And so now I want to read verses 27 and 28, Danielle, just picking up where you left off in John 12.
Now my soul is troubled, and what shall I say? Father, save me from this hour? But for this purpose I came to this hour. Father, glorify your name. Then a voice came from heaven, saying, I have both glorified it and will glorify it again.
Now, when I say I love those verses, I don't want to be misunderstood. I don't love the fact that Jesus was troubled, but I love the fact that John recorded it, so we don't think that we're supposed to skip through this thing like, oh, this is fun. Jesus says, my soul is troubled. He said, now is to be glorified, but my soul is troubled. This is Jesus saying, it's not easy. And he's not in a quandary, but I believe he is being open and honest with us, because we do run into that, what am I going to do? What am I going to say? I don't want to do it? Yeah, I'd like to do that. No, I don't want to go there. I don't want to do that. But this is the hour that I came to. I've been walking with Dad, and this is where we are. This is the hour we're in. We're in the hour of glory. This is my purpose. Now, this makes the drawing of everybody, like we said, that was not his purpose. That was his mission. His purpose, he describes here. What am I supposed to say? Save me, Dad? No, my purpose is not just to respond to the people that Father is drawing, but to save them. The whole world, Greeks, Jews, everybody. But this is a struggling moment for him. For John, I don't know if you've noticed that John doesn't have a Garden of Gethsemane like the other three guys. I mean, he does, but he shows nothing of the Garden of Gethsemane like the other three guys show. But he records this, that at the beginning of the week, if you think it wasn't until the Garden of Gethsemane before he started really struggling, my soul is troubled, for John, this is kind of like his Garden of Gethsemane. This is where the battle was being waged on Palm Sunday. After all the fanfare, the Greeks are coming, and he's turning the corner. Jesus has turned the corner and says, Father, glorify your name. And from that point on, he knows what he's, in fact, we're going to get to the verses in a couple minutes. What I want to say is this, knowing the path and the purpose. We know the procedure, the path, we got the, knowing all of that, the Father's drawing does not seem to stop the troubled waters, the troubled soul. This is another one of John's code things. If you follow the troubled soul, the troubled life. He says, my soul is troubled. When we hear that, it's kind of like one of those things where, oh, gee, that's awful. And Jesus is saying, but it's not awful because I know that something good's going to come out of trouble. When you're feeling troubled, man, those are the waters stirring. Something is going to die and life is going to come out of it. You can go to the bank on it. That's what the troubling is about. The troubling is, I'm not sure I want to do that. Excellent. Then let me. Can we do that? Can we agree on that? You don't have to raise the dead. I will if you let me. It's a bit like that. That's what I'm being troubled about. I'm feeling the pressure. Oh God, I don't know if I can do this. Exactly. Then don't. Let me. Bear what I ask you to bear. Bring what I ask you to bring. It's a beautiful message. But he's saying, now my soul is troubled. Knowing the path and the purpose does not stop the troubling. It becomes a revelation. Something's about to happen of huge proportion. You see, knowing the path and the purpose the Father's drawing, it doesn't stop troubled waters or troubled soul. It stills it.